Hello and welcome to this Wednesday night Niall Fraser Show. Thank you for joining me on this Wednesday, 26th of March. March is marching on, isn't it? The whole year's been marching. It feels like quite a quick year so far. Anyway, what are we talking about tonight? Well, we're talking about Glasgow City Council corruption. We're talking about the Inbred USAFs strike again. And then we have the SFP attack. That is the Scottish Family Party being attacked while they're out campaigning. Just a sorry indictment of where Scottish politics is in 2025. But first, we can't start the show without our intro music. Oh, welcome to the Niall Fraser Show, ladies and gentlemen. Almost 100 viewers before we even finish the intro music. Really do appreciate it. If you could share the broadcast, please do. Quote, tweet it, post it, like it, comment, all that stuff. Anyway, we're not going to be wasting that much time this evening. I'm going to see if I can batter through the stories. And this week's it's been quite a slow week for news. I mean, the Labour budget, spring budget, nobody actually cares about that, do they? Nobody cares about that. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about Glasgow City Council corruption. And it dovetails into sort of the work that I've been doing behind the scenes. So, you might have noticed that I've not been doing as much shows as I usually have. One, because sometimes I just don't see a point in doing a show if there's not really that much to talk about. It's just me coming on here saying blah, 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 and being angry. But I feel like tonight I should be back. I should be back tonight. Anyway, I've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes in terms of this Thistle safe consumption room. I've been doing a lot of work revolving around that, picking up needles, organising street cleans, stuff like that. Because Glasgow City Council clearly can't do it. They can't do it. So we will have to step in and do it for ourselves. So what are we talking about tonight? We're talking about Glasgow City Council corruption. And let's get this up on the screen. And I hope you can see that. I'll take my face away. You don't want to see my face. You want to hear my sultry tones, but you maybe don't necessarily want to see my face. And this dovetails into the work that I've been doing, because when I seen these numbers, it was beggars belief, ladies and gentlemen. It's a bloody disgrace that these councillors are getting huge pay packets. It's a fucking disgrace, ladies and gentlemen. And if there ever was blatant corruption, it's right here in your face. Right in your face. And you see the state, and I'll be showing you the state of Glasgow, by the way. I will be showing you just how rundown this entire place is. And I'll get some more media clips uploaded, because some of the pictures I've been taking is just absolutely insane. The deprivation that some of Glasgow is in is unbelievable. And if you live in Glasgow, you'll know. But if you don't, then it'll be a big eye opener. And we've got the whole video of the street clean coming up as well. It's just, it's in amongst all this deprivation, in amongst all of it, is Glasgow City councillors getting huge fat cat golden goodbyes, despite lawyers finding that it was not lawful. So what the hell's going on here? They say Police Scotland probing SNP run council. Should the SNP have their own, or should the Police Scotland have their own SNP investigation team? I think they should do. But of course, if they did, it would look like bumbling Scot Squad. They couldn't find anything on Sturgeon, which is just beggars belief again. It's not that they couldn't find anything on Sturgeon. It's not that they couldn't find anything on Sturgeon. It was the fact that they didn't want to find anything on Sturgeon. They didn't want to find anything that would put her behind bars. Oh, and Peter Murrell. Peter Murrell looks to be taking the fall. All right, my old son. Yes, Jay, I am spot on this evening. Thank you for asking, my man. Right. Police Scotland probing SNP run council. Fat cat's golden goodbye despite lawyers finding it was not lawful. From the Scottish Daily Express, John Glover, the reporter. And shout out to the Scottish Daily Express. I mean, Scottish media is absolutely useless at times. It really is. It's useless. And it feels like I'm breaking more stories than the entire Scottish media here. I'm just one man operating off a zero budget. I can hear my wee boy waking up upstairs. It's not great. Anyway, Scottish solicitors examined the controversial payments to 5 senior officials that saw Glasgow City Council pay hundreds of thousands into their pension pots as part of a golden goodbye. And you're like, well, one, let's look at the payments first, and then you'll understand. And here is greasy-haired, taking a day off for ringing the bells at Notre Dame, Susan Aitken. the hunchback of Glasgow City Council. The leader, Susan Aitken, was angered when she found out about the payment. Aye, my arse, Susan, my arse. Police Scotland are probing a golden goodbye given to former senior staffer at Glasgow City Council after receiving a report. Information is being gathered into possible financial irregularities. Oh, possible financial irregularities. That wouldn't be happening at Glasgow City Council. Of course it is. Related to the exit payment, which has already been probed by lawyers. The SNP-run council called in solicitors concerning following concerns raised by early retirement deals given to its former chief executive, Anne-Marie O'Donnell. And Anne-Marie O'Donnell is, I'm sure, there's an individual, Thomas Ingram. Thomas Ingram has been fighting Anne-Marie O'Donnell for what feels like the entire time I've known the guy. But Anne-Marie O'Donnell seems to be one of the most corrupt individuals ever to have graced Glasgow City Council. Council leader Susan Aitken said she was kept in the dark. She was kept in the dark because she was in the tower. She was in the tower ringing the bells. That's why she should be kept in the dark. It looks like she lives under a bridge. Anyway, sorry, I can't help myself. Where were we? Council leader Susan Aitken said she was kept in the dark about the deals. Douglas Ross KC and legal firm Brodie's were tasked with penning a legal opinion. Oh, it's a legal opinion. Oh, it's just a legal opinion. Brodie's put under the microscope the payments to Council's 5 former officials as part of a restructuring exercise. Oh, it's just a restructuring exercise, stating that the severance terms were in accordance with the relevant council policies. Of course they are. And here we go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Can you believe these payments? Glasgow Council paid out £357,845 in-year contribution to Ms. O'Donnell's pension pot. How is this possible, ladies and gentlemen? What job in the private sector can you possibly command a payment like that put into your pension pot? What is actually, we know the SNP are corrupt. We know they're corrupt. We know Glasgow City Council is corrupt. But just the scale of the corruption is just absolutely unbelievable. While former Director of Legal and Administration, Elaine Gallatley, was sent £223,065 to her pension, and almost just south, £29 south, a £60,000 compensation for loss of office. Compensation for loss of office. What a horrendous joke. What a horrendous joke. It's a fucking disgrace. Especially when I'm going to show you the pictures of what Glasgow actually looks like. See, when you pull up the carpets in Glasgow, it's just hideous underneath. It's just absolutely hideous. Daily Record reports that the council report noted Brodie's considered that the justification for the early retirement for the former chief executive was not supported by the restructure report or any other accompanying correspondence. They noted that while the former chief executive's early retirement had been linked to the deletion of the post of executive director of development, listen to this. Listen to this. This is what they do in Glasgow City Council. They just come up with these fancy terms for somebody's job. And in essence, this person, I guarantee you, what's her name? The hunchback of Glasgow City Council, Susan Aitken, At most, what does she actually do? What does she physically do to command such a huge wage? She sits in a few meetings. She sends a few emails. She sits in a few meetings and she sends a few emails, and she's getting hundreds of thousands of pounds. And Anne-Marie O'Donnell's the same. Anne-Marie O'Donnell's the same. In fact, sometimes she doesn't even get round to the emails. Anne-Marie O'Donnell. They sit in meetings. They go for fancy lunches. They look down their nose at people like me, like people like you, and they couldn't give a flying fuck because they're getting huge, huge wages. It's just an absolute joke. But the numbers here is just staggering. Almost £360,000 almost to her pension pot, and almost £250,000 to another woman's pension pot, Elaine Galtley. £60,000 compensation for loss of office. What is this, the Scottish Parliament or something? You can't be serious. The turnout for council elections is generally less than 20%. How is this possible? They noted that while the form blah blah blah, we deleted the post. So what it'd been linked to the deletion of the post. So they've deleted a position. The position being the Executive Director of Development and Regeneration Services. Imagine having that on your CV. I was the Executive Director of Development and Regeneration Services. Right, what does that entail? I send a few emails. Fuck off. A summary of its analysis into the former chief executive's golden buys was not, on the face of it, lawfully approved in terms of the council's internal processes. The report also summarised Ross's report, which stated there's nothing within the Brodie's report or associated papers that leads council to think that any criminal offence was committed or that any officer acted unlawfully. Despite the findings, Glasgow Council sent the report to Police Scotland to be investigated. Police Scotland said, we've received an initial report regarding possible irregularities, and officers will be making contact with the reporter to gather further details. Blah, blah, blah. So this was just the sort of showcase. We'll get this done. We'll remove this. Where am I? Here I am. Here I am. What's Jay saying? Scottish media is not fake news. They just don't report them. Exactly. Susan is a Manitou in a dress. I like my Hunchback of Notre Dame image. She's ringing the bells. Will Fox. What's Will Fox saying? As the nation sinks further and further into an abyss, expect the corruption by the occupational regime to get worse. Absolutely. Well, and I think this is what we're actually seeing. We're seeing people they've given up the goal of trying to hide the corruption. Well, I don't think they give a shit anymore. Get the money and get out. Get the money and get out, they say. Well, get the money and get out. And so, before we move on, the whole point of this segment, thank you for joining us, to almost 250 viewers live on a Wednesday night. Love you very much. Share the broadcast, get the comments in. The comments will be shown on screen. Anything you want to talk about tonight. It's just, this story stuck in my craw. Why did it stuck in my craw? Because I was here at Belgrove train station on Sunday the 23rd, 3 days ago. I was here at Belgrove train station. And across the road from the train station, you're getting things like this. And it's so derelict. It must pain people to walk about these streets in the East End. It's a disaster. Look at that. It's just, this is all left to rot, ladies and gentlemen. And you'll see just in the very right of the picture, you've got these new flats, these new build things, and you're seeing these right across Edinburgh, right across Glasgow, these new build social housing things. And they're just flung up. They look horrendous, I think. Might just be me. But yeah, I was here, Belgrove train station. And go check it for yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. If you've got any Glaswegians in the gallery tonight, tell me about your experiences with Glasgow. Tell me about your experiences with needles, because they're everywhere. So this is right. This was visible for the main street. You're outside a major train station in Glasgow, and it's just an absolute despair. This is one of the better pictures I've taken. It's quite hard to get them in focus. I'm not a photographer, so I've been sort of learning as I go. What is Britannia Man Dan? Like the name. I've always felt the Scottish would rather us south of the border mind their own business regarding politics, but it pains me to sit back and watch it. See, the thing is, I think you're probably right. You know what I mean? Like, but we actually, it's strange here in Scotland. We can't break the deadlock, it seems. The SNP are going to walk this next election, ladies and gentlemen. Just watch it happen. Because Labour, it feels like they've already thrown the towel in. And you've got all these people say, we should tactically vote for Labour and tactically vote for the Tories to keep the SNP. And what will happen? The SNP will stay in. Or worse, Labour gets in. It's a fucking disaster. You know what I mean? We've got two camps here in Britain, in Scotland, it seems. The Unionist camp and the Independence camp. And in the Unionist camp, this is all where the minds are. This is where the smart people are in the Unionist camp. I won't totally disregard the Independence camp for smart people. I won't do that. But the Unionist camp is so fractured that it's hard to break the mould, because we can't agree on anything. So what will happen? The SNP are going to waltz in yet again. We need a billionaire for the scheme. I know we do, Jay. A billionaire for the scheme. But I think to get a billionaire for the scheme, I think it'd have to be up to no good. So I'm just going to show you some of their pictures, because it just gets worse and worse. This is, again, I'm taking this picture, looking down, and I'm basically on the path of the main road where I'm taking this picture. Here we are. This is behind the wall, and you'll see needles here, there, everywhere. This one was for the Morrison's car park opposite the safe consumption room. And I mean, you can see this one was recently used. The one closest to the screen on the left-hand side, that was recently used to inject heroin. It's just, this is happening every single day in Glasgow. Every single solitary day. Every single hour. And the amount of needles, I just don't think people understand. See, when I've started this sort of crusade on the needles against the safe consumption room, it's got to me, ladies and gentlemen. I can't deny it. It's got to me. It's hit me bad, because every time I go back, there's more. What does that say? It means there's addicts using it time in, time out, day in, day out. Nobody's helping them. Do they want help? Who knows? But it needs to stop. It's not just the addicts that it affects. It affects their families. It affects the people in the local community. It affects people's everyday life. It endangers children. See this wall on the right hand side of the image here. This is the wall that separates that on the other side of that wall is the main road. And you'll see needles just sort of sparsed in about this. And I cleaned this area. Me. Went in, dirty as hell, cleaned it up. And you'll see these Orion bags just sort of near the top of the screen. These Orion bags. These Orion bags are needle packs, self-contained needle packs that contain the needle, the syringe, these wee alcohol wipes that you're seeing on this thing here. They get that wee spoon, disposable spoon, and you're getting some sort of additive, some sort of don't really know what it's called. But then this is the result, ladies and gentlemen. And I want you to just look at this for a second. We were there, I would say less than an hour, with a team of 6. Less than an hour. A team of 6. And we've collected, let's just attempt to count this. And I'm starting for the bottom. Anybody else, if you can count it faster than me, if you're Rain Man, you can just instantly tell how many needles there are. Tell me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. You get the point. There's over 100 needles in this picture right now. I think we counted them. I think it was 111. It's just insane. And Glasgow City councillors are getting huge pay packets when the city looks like utter shit. When right next to a major train station, addicts are abusing the place every single day. People in the community are having to deal with this every single day. It's a fucking disgrace, ladies and gentlemen. There's no other way to describe it. Glasgow City Council is the most corrupt establishment, institution, whatever you want to call it. It's so corrupt. How can anyone be in receipt of almost £250,000 into the pension pot, £350,000 into their pension pot, 60 grand as a golden goodbye, when the state of the city looks like this? It's inconceivable. It's inconceivable. And we'll show you the video. The videos, it took me ages to edit, honestly. I'm sort of getting used to editing. But this is, most of the needles come for this area here, right over the wall, next to the main drag. And you'll see it, you hear in the video, one of the women says, it's worse on match days. It's worse on match days. And it just sort of occurred to me. I mean, this is right next to Celtic Park, basically. It's not right next to it, but it's one of the train stations that's close to Celtic Park. Are people taking heroin and crack cocaine and then going to the matches? What in the ever-living fuck are we doing here in Scotland? If you know anyone, if you're a Celtic supporter and you're going to the games, please, if you notice somebody that's smacked at their face, tell them to stop it. Guide them to recovery. Tell them they don't need to live like this. There's such a serious problem with Scotland and addiction. And the safe consumption room's not the answer. It really isn't. But it's just mind-boggling. See, when you look at a picture like this, and then you come back home and you read the paper, and it says, oh, by the way, Glasgow City councillors have been given a huge, big, fat golden goodbye. £350,000, almost £250,000 into their pension pot, 60 grand straight up into the bank. Away and take your face for a shite. So I'm going to find the video of the clean up, and bear with me because it's quite a long one. It's 8 minutes, but I think you really need to see it. You need to see it, ladies and gentlemen. And I mean, the video, I'll preface it before I put it up, and I'll share this screen instead. So this was a collaboration between a few different charities, right? I'm not a charity. I represent nobody but myself. Nobody. And I've spent thousands of pounds in my activism. What have I got back for it? Fuck all. How many people have I helped? Many. But I've sunk so much money into this, and it's not. I just can't help it. I just can't help it, ladies and gentlemen. And it's just, I mean, see this one. If you can focus in on this image here, there's one of the syringes that's still got blood in it. I think it's on the left-hand side, just below one of the leaves, but you'll see a huge amount of blood still in this syringe. I don't think people understand just how dangerous that is. And again, this is right next to a wee wooded path where people walk their dogs, where children play. I'll say it again. This is right next to a wooded path, right next to the train station, where people walk their dogs. And there was a woman come up to us and talk to us who was walking their dog. This is where children play, and there's needles absolutely everywhere. And we found this amount of needles, and there would be more than that because we couldn't do an entire cleaning of the area. We're not equipped to do an entire cleaning of the area. We've not got the actual equipment. It would take spades, shovels, rakes, metal detectors. Fuck the team of 6. You'd need a team of 12 to clean this area properly. It's just, I'll say it again, but people don't understand the sheer scale of the problem here in Scotland. The problem here in Glasgow, we've not even touched any other areas in Scotland. Of course, we're going to go other places. But I think the plan is to go to Dundee. The plan is to go to Edinburgh. But let's focus in on ground zero, which is right next door to the Thistle Safe Consumption Room. And you would have heard. And this is, again, I feel like I've inadvertently sort of caused this. But the Thistle Consumption Room, what are they going to do? They're going to build an inhalation room for people to smoke crack cocaine. Now, I don't know about you, right? But isn't that no sort of... well, one, it's incentivizing people to smoke crack cocaine, right? But this has happened because my expose pointed out and actually photographed people smoking crack cocaine in the bushes less than 2 minutes away from the Thistle Centre. And they're saying to themselves, hold on a minute, we're missing a trick here. We're missing a trick here. We're not capturing the people who are smoking crack cocaine. Maybe we should put an inhalation room in the Thistle Centre and capture more addicts. But how is it possible, ladies and gentlemen? And this is the question that I want you to go away with tonight. How is it possible that Glasgow is in such a state of disrepair? It's a fucking disgrace, especially the East End. How are things like this still in existence? How is this happening? How are places still like this, where people stay, where people walk their dogs, where children play? How is it possible that they can claim so much money and then sail off into the sunset with a big bag of gold saying, I've helped? It's a disgrace, legend. I keep saying it, but it's horrendous. Left-wing wokeness. There's an element in that, Jay. I mean, I guarantee there is. This, I mean, let's look at the Thistle Centre as well, right? They had the story out last week, right? The numbers came out. They've done X amount of injections, X amount of bloody visits, right? And they said that in amongst the visits, we've had 17 life-saving interventions. 17 life-saving interventions at the Thistle Centre. And you're saying to yourself, right, cool. So that people have, they were overdosing in the Thistle Centre, and they come in and stop them. They just jab them when the lock's on, whatever it is. So they say they've had 17. Like, what? I don't understand what it constitutes a life-saving intervention according to them. Anyway, it's the same as you just say you run a hospital for people who are suicidal, and you were giving them razor blades to slash their wrists. And then they do slash the wrists, and then you rush into the room, you bandage them up, and you stop them dying. This is the exact same phenomenon here. We are giving them we are encouraging them to take drugs. We are encouraging them to kill themselves slowly. Sometimes not so slow. We are encouraging addicts not to the path of a good life, not to the path of a constructive member of society, but down a destructive path that will maintain their addiction, that will maybe harden their addiction, that will make it harder to come off. We are strengthening their hand, the addiction's hand. It's a disgrace. But just, I actually can't stop looking at that image because it's disgusting. And again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, over 400 people watching it now, if you're just joining us, this image that you're looking on screen is a result of an hour, maybe just over an hour, and a team of 6 cleaning up needles right next to Belgrove train station in Glasgow's East End. 5 minutes walk from the consumption room. And once we've finished the video, I'll tell you all what happened, because I actually took all these needles in to the Thistle Centre. I'll tell you the story about that after. But first, let's play this video. And this is Francis for the Streets. I mean, he'll introduce himself, but we've teamed up with him because he seems to be, one, he's an ex-addict. He knows exactly what he's talking about. He knows all the spots because he used them. And again, it's a collaboration between a few different charities. Francis for the Streets. Marcel, I represent no one bar Marcel. But let's take myself off screen. Let's get this full screen and we can watch this video. It's just south of 9 minutes, guys, but bear with us, right?
How you doing, everybody? You may recognise me for the Streets platforms, and I'm here today with the Blameless charity and Get Together charity. Go Together charity. And we're here to clean up. You know, some of you know that I've been voicing it lately about the needles lying about discarded in our communities. So we're here behind the Belgrove Hotel with these great people, and we're going to proceed to clean this place up. So we are. So we've got Gary for his charity, Get Together. All right, Gary, how you doing, man? Nice to see you as well, bro. And Gary's just going to talk us through what his charity does.
Aye, we're a charity from Wishaw called Go Together, and we help the addict, the families affected by addiction in our communities. And we're just here to lend a hand today, especially with Blameless, because it means quite a lot to us. Because as kids play about these areas, and we're really sort of happy to be here and lend a hand and do what we can to make a change. So it's great to be here today, and we've also got Colin for the Blameless charity, who gave me my first volunteer post when I came out of rehabilitation, and Colin's been a great ambassador for change within the communities, Glasgow, North Lanarkshire, South Lanarkshire. So pass it over to you, Colin.
Thanks a lot. I've not got too much to say. This is my brand new needle-proof gloves. The needles canny. This is to clear the needles that the First Minister says doesn't exist. Anyway, I'm only really down here to cause Mr Swinney embarrassment to clean this area up for what the people are paying their community taxes for. It's a bloody disgrace to be down here on Sunday.
As you know, at the streets, the last video we done there, Glasgow's Needle City, you know, this is the promises being kept, and behind the words, the actions being put in, just to get these, as Gary and Colin says, our communities cleaned up, you know. I mean, if Niall points his camera out there's hussies and that there, you know, we've got children out playing in the gardens, and as everybody knows, being a Wayne, we all wander. And you know, one of your Waynes wandering down here, then coming back with a needle sticking at their finger, it's scary to even think that. So it's just a great pleasure to be here and serve with these great people. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Francis. And there's a couple of come on in the shot. There's a couple of volunteers giving up a bit of their Sunday because they really care about people. That's what it's about. But Mr Swinney, this is your job to care for the people of Glasgow, to care for the people of Carlton.
Exactly.
So I'm going to pick up the needles that don't exist out in the streets.
This is just a sort of montage. It's just horrible to see, really, ladies and gentlemen. It really is. Devastating. They're literally everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. They're everywhere. These needles in that corner as well. It's right. That fence is the train station. Beyond that fence is the train station's land, and this is what you've got. All the white bits are all these white bits are the discarded Orion needle packs. There's a volunteer picking up, and Gary himself. That's all the bags with it. That's just the rubbish. I mean, just unbelievable. Like,
so that's us then. We've just cleaned up this bit here, you know, and we've got the full, as Colin says, the full menu, you know, everything from alcohol to crack to heroin getting used down there. So we've got Colin down there now, and he's just picked up the remaining few needles just now. And Colin, are you ready to come up? There's Colin coming with the bin. And you know that when you see this is a lot of suffering, remember. You know, a lot of human beings use these things.
There's the needles that doesn't exist.
There you go.
There's the needles that's still on the street, full of blood with children. And this lady here, when they walk their dogs, right, Mr Swinney, First Minister, that's the needles. That's all the false information. You think we brought them with us? Right, look at the state. There's a lady there. What do you think of this? Carry on here.
Disgusting. There's not one bin along here.
Not one bin.
Not one bin.
Does anybody come and help you?
No. There used to be a neighbour that used to do it, but he's away now. But I have tried.
I'll just pause it there. But you see what she said there? There used to be. So who was doing it before? Just a kind Samaritan. A neighbour who wanted to keep their community clean. No council workers, a neighbour used to do it. This interview with this lady is actually jaw-dropping.
Here. Disgusting.
There's not one bin along here.
Not one bin.
Not one bin.
Does anybody come and help you?
No. There used to be a neighbour that used to do it, but he's away now. But I have tried. I mean, the police even says to me, why are you picking something up? I went, because I stay here. I mean, it's disgusting.
Yeah, it really is.
Austin, I brought you a wee packet of crisps.
Sorry.
Oh, thank you.
bless her as well, right? So she's brought us out. She's brought us out, I think it was a packet, like a 6-pack of Monster Munch or something like that. I mean, bless her wee soul. Honestly, this is the type of thing. People are so grateful. Like again, they've been so overlooked, left to rot.
I'll get a juice or anything.
Kindness in the community.
Honest, I really appreciate it. I've just realised what you were all doing. And where are you off of?
That's Blameless Charity, Colin, the guy, and Gary, if we go together, and I'm for the streets.
Right.
So we're just here collaborating, getting this stuff cleaned up, for you good people that stay in the
The
community.
railway were out the other day, but they never lifted a thing, they left. I know.
But got onto your councillors, got onto your first
Didn't you get a van?
No, what I'm doing is you need to shout. They're taking. There's a 7.5% increase coming in council tax 25-26. They're taking the money from you, make them do their work.
Yeah.
I mean, we're hoping when the tax money goes up that they're going to spend it on here. They definitely need more bins, and it's even worse when it's match days.
There you go. You've
Ride them all along. It's disgusting.
Thank you.
Yeah. So look, this one here has got blood in it, and whether that blood's infected or not, it's still very, very dangerous, For a wee kid, as we pointed out, there's a community, there's houses behind us where children can come down. Now that one's got blood in it. Now can you imagine your child coming in with that sticking out their finger? It's ridiculous that people say this is...
See that? And what Francis is saying is absolute. It's every parent's worst nightmare. Imagine your kids are out playing. 10 minutes later, Dad, Mum, and they come in with that sticking out their finger. Imagine there was a needle in that and they stood in it, pricked it. I mean, what would you even do? Immediately to the hospital. It doesn't bear thinking about. Here, we've got another kind Samaritan, Britannia Mandan. If there is some kind of inverted leaf blower type vacuum that can safely gather these, I'd love to donate and buy one for you folks. Honestly, something like that would do so good, Dan. It really would. I don't even know what type of equipment you would use other than your hands and these needle-proof gloves that Colin's sporting. But there's something. Yeah, this is an industrial problem. It's an ongoing problem. Here, I flashed up comment up for Grant Calder there. I stay here. It's shocking life expectancy than Gaza pre-war. Doesn't that say it all, ladies and gentlemen? Doesn't that say it all?
Behind us, where children can come down. Now that one's got blood in it. Now can you imagine your child coming in with that sticking out their finger? It's ridiculous that people say this is disinformation and it's lies, that this doesn't exist. You see, with any kind of lies, you're putting people's lives at risk. And that's why we're here shining a light on here. We're not here to cause controversy. We're here to shine a light and educate people this is happening. So that's us. We're down at the surrounding area at St Luke's, the big wedding venue. So we've just came here. This is the next location, and we've just finished cleaning up here. And it's ridiculous to think, again, in a community, all the houses there, if Niall turns his camera around, we're right next to the Barras, famous landmark in Glasgow. And do you think this is happening again right on the back door? Again, children come to visit their families, children staying there and come to play in this wee bit. Now, if my child says, Dad, can I go there and play? I'd most likely say yes, because it's open, it's there, but just 2 minutes away. We've got this, and we've got all these needles in this bin here. And the Thistle Centre as well, that's less than a 5-minute walk for here as well, So other locations near that location still being used and right in the community as well. So we've just finished cleaning up here with Colin McGowan for Blameless Charity and Gary. We get together.
I go together. We actually, it's just a privilege to come out and help clear up an area which it's just been left to rot, really, and even discarded rubbish and things like that, you know what I mean, in between all that. Kids love to play in amongst all that stuff, but we're just, us and the volunteers for Go Together, we're in Blameless, and great to meet Francis today as well, and it's been a pleasure to come out here and lend a hand today. Here's Colin for Blameless.
First Minister, get us a clean Scotland before you even consider getting an independent Scotland. Get the place cleaned up. It's your job.
And I would probably add to that as well. And say, get us a clean Glasgow before you pay any of these councillors obscene amounts of money into their pension pot and at their golden goodbyes. How about that as well? You know what I mean? We need to start with the basics here. If you're paying council tax in Glasgow, phone up and complain. Like Colin's saying, you get a 7.5% increase in council tax, 25-26. What are we getting for it? What are people getting for it? Because they're not doing their work. The city's falling into more and more disrepair. And I keep showing pictures like this. This is right across from Belgrove train station. I don't even know what this is. It says Glasgow Car Market. It's derelict. I bet over that wall there's hunters and needles as well. But just look at that. That's an hour and a bit worth of cleaning with a team of 6. This is jaw dropping. It really is. It's a disaster. But that's the Glasgow City Council corruption element done. You get my point, ladies and gentlemen. It's the place is disgusting. There are areas in Glasgow that you wouldn't like to walk your dog, that you wouldn't even allow your children to go anywhere near. It's just unbelievable. Anyway, what's the next segment you're saying? What's the next segment? What's the Inbreds Strike again? And this I'm a bit sort of late to the press on this one. I did see the story when it came out, of course I did. But I wasn't doing a show at the time. I could have done a whole show on this disgusting individual. But the USAFs and their extended family are Scotland's biggest piss takers. That's what they are. They're Scotland's biggest piss takers. And we'll see if we can bring up the story again. It is. Actually, this family they're despicable in every way, shape or form. Every way, shape or form. And we've done a deep dive on them before. But we'll do it again. Remember this one? They sued a nursery for alleged racism. Oh, look at them there. They're the victims. Oh, they've dropped their case. Oh, they've dropped their case against the nursery because there was fuck all there. Oh, aye. What a shame. What a shame. And then you get this one. The brother-in-law. This brother-in-law. What the hell is this guy up to, you're saying? Again, this is the family that's the biggest piss takers in Scotland. They're unbelievable. Hum's used his brother-in-law to go on trial. On trial? The former First Minister's brother-in-law. What's he been up to? Oh, a not guilty plea was entered. The brother-in-law of former First Minister Yousaf is to stand trial after he pleaded not guilty to extortion in Class A drug offences. Ramsay El-Nakwa, 37, is accused of intimidating a man and extorting money from him using threatening behaviour. Also accused of being concerned in the supply of cocaine in Dundee. And this is all while Nadia El-Nakwa was Dundee City Councillor's drug spokesperson. So she's the drug spokesperson This woman here on the right-hand side, she's the drug spokesperson at Dundee City Council. So all these people have just sort of infiltrate local government. I mean, Hamza Yusuf went all the way, infiltrated the entire country and became the first minister. But what they do, they infiltrate government. She becomes a spokesperson. Her brother is concerned in the supply of Class A drugs while she's a spokesperson. Something you couldn't write. It's like a dystopian story. And again, this resulted in somebody dying. Somebody was either pushed or felt the need to jump from a 2 or 3 story building in Dundee to escape. The co-accused, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4 people up in the docket, including Ramsey. It's co-accused Stephen Stewart, 51, Jennifer Souter, 39, Victoria McGowan, 42, also face charges on the same indictment, including the culpable homicide of 36-year-old Ryan Munro. Nakwa entered not guilty via his legal team. Ryan Munro was seriously injured after he fell from a block of flats in Dundee. And he died a week after it. He fell. Of course he fell. Of course he did. It's alleged the accused, including El Nakwa, placed Ryan Munro in a state of fear and alarm, making threats of violence and intimidation, detaining him against his will, causing him to escape via a window to his death. So this is the brother-in-law of Hamza Yusuf. But what's the next story? What's the next one? Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen. Does it get any worse than this? Does it get any worse than this? Am I still online? Can you still see me? Oh, the wee thing flash up there. Anyway, it says we're still live. School run crash. Hamza Yusuf's brother-in-law, and this is just last week, 18th of March. Hamza Yusuf's brother-in-law crashes into a cyclist while driving uninsured and failing to stop at a red light. So, again, Hamza Yusuf, no insurance. He's fallen in. Oh, look how young and innocent Hamza Yusuf looks there, doesn't he? Looks so young and innocent, doesn't he? The inbred Yusufs strike again. Thank you, Dan. Still here. Young and sprightly Yusuf before he took on the mantle of First Minister. He was the Transport Minister. And he was driving the insurance. I think these people, they take our laws as if they're optional. This inbred family of retards take our laws as if they are optional. They're Scotland's biggest piss takers. So, fast forward to the day, the brother-in-law is caught with air insurance, crashing into a cyclist after failing to stop at a red light. What the hell is going on here, ladies and gentlemen? This is last week, 18th of March. A further charge was dropped. The brother-in-law, former First Minister, Yusuf, crashed into a cyclist and threw him over the bonnet while driving an uninsured car. What is this? Is this Karachi? Is this Bangladesh? What the fuck is happening here? Ramsey El Nakwa was doing the school run. So he's doing the school run, presumably driving fast, near schools, failing to stop at red lights when he's doing the school run. And he sent a bike rider, James Clooney, 59-year-old Imagine getting an injury at 59-year-old. That would be horrendous. The recovery time will be brutal. He sent him flying through the air because it's all the while driving an uninsured car. On top of everything, ladies and gentlemen, on top of all these drug charges, I think he's somehow skated the culpable homicide. El Naco was driving an uninsured car when he went through a red light. Again, it's optional for the USAFs. Insurance, car insurance, optional. Optional. But here we have the big piss take. Here we have the biggest piss take in Scotland. The inbred USAFs. El Naco, who receives £1,400 a month on benefits. £1,400 a month on benefits, right? So let's just top this up. Let's just top this up, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just take scope of the situation. The USAFs. They try and sue a nursery. They fail. The alleged racism wasn't there. You've got Hamza Yusuf with a white speech that I called him out on. That I'll probably play the video after this because it's just, when I called him a pestilence on the land, I was absolutely spot on. They're a pestilence. They're worse than leeches. Leeches actually have a purpose. Leeches have a purpose. This family does not. White speech. And then you've got Ramsey El Nakla, concerned in the supply of Class A drugs, crack and heroin, cocaine, heroin, drug dealing. Concerned there's somebody inexplicably falls from a building in Dundee and dies a week later. Ryan Munro. Then you've got Hamza Yusuf driving without insurance. You've got his brother-in-law driving without insurance. Driving into a cyclist, sending him flying through the air, failing to stop at red lights when he's doing the school run, apparently. All the while, he's in receipt of £1,400 a month on benefits. You can't be serious, ladies and gentlemen. These are Scotland's biggest piss takers. You can write it. Oh, and of course, he claimed he has lost his mobile phone. Not only is this guy, he claimed he lost his mobile phone. Well, he's on holiday. What, are they going on holiday? He's on £1,400 a month on benefits, right? He's concerned in the supply of Class A drugs. He's rolling about in an uninsured car. And he claimed he didn't know because he lost his phone while he's on holiday. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. Come on. At Dundee's Justice Peace Court, El Nakla, 37, Baxter Park Terrace in Dundee, admitted driving carelessly on the city's Arbroath Road on the 12th of June last year. He admitted failing to slow approaching a red light, failing to keep a proper lookout, and colliding with a stationary bicycle, causing Mr. Clooney to fall off to his injury. He also admitted having no insurance, but the Crown dropped a further charge of having no MOT certificate. They've dropped the charge of having no MOT. So was this car not MOT'd as well? And they've just decided to drop that charge. What the hell's going on? Fiscal Deputy Ewan Chalmers told the court traffic lights were red so the complainer stopped. The accused failed to notice the complainer stopped at the junction. He has gone into the rear of the complainer's push bike, which caused the complainer to be thrown off the bike, landing on the bonnet of the car before falling on the ground. Complainer sustained a small cut to his finger on the right hand and minor back pain in his back. The accused remained at the scene for 20 minutes to assist, passed on details, blah, blah, blah. Solicitor Annika Jeffler defending. In relation to having no insurance, he has gone to Ireland to visit family. Wait, so got family in Ireland? What is happening here? He'd broken his phone and didn't receive messages about a direct debit failing. I call bullshit. You know that? I smell shite. I smell... What's that? What's that I smell? Shite. Absolute shite. He had difficulties during the year, and it was the policy of the company to cancel if there is a third payment failure. He's been driving since he was 19, never had insurance issues. He was driving along, and there was a van in front of him. He was of the view of the van was going to continue driving, but a brake quick suddenly in front of him. The bicycle has come along the inside. He's going to turn down the radio. Oh, he's turning down the radio. I went to turn down the radio. I didn't see this bike. So, all of this, they're Scotland's biggest piss takers, ladies and gentlemen. They're taking the piss. It's as plain as day. My phone was broke. Didn't kind of have no insurance. I was turning the radio down. Didn't see the bike. Just get to fuck. He was getting £1,400 a month on universal credit and disability payments. They're into everything, ladies and gentlemen. He has a record, but it's not the worst. I love the lawyer in court, he's got a record, but it's not the worst. It's not the worst. We're concerned in that they can supply Class A drugs, but it's not the worst. So I'll get to the comments very soon, guys, right? Just finishing off this segment. He was fined £400 a month in order to pay £40 a month, and he got 6 points. So after all this, he gets a £450 fine, which he pays over, 11 and a half months? Really? 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 Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Scotland's biggest piss takers, the Inbreds Strike again. So we've got some comments to go through. They are a benefit to the country. We are always told. Yes. Thank God they're here, Jay. Prescribed drugs are the third biggest killer in the world. Never gets a mention. Why? Because there's so much money involved in it, Shug. You know that as well as I do. So much money. And thank you for joining us. Over almost 600 viewers live. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. We're almost towards the end of the show. Maybe got another half an hour, 40 minutes. Thomas Ingram. I knew Thomas Ingram would pop up tonight. As soon as Glasgow City Council corruption was mentioned, here he is. Here he is. He's like a bloodhound. They're all professional liars. So they do as they do. Lie about everything. Exactly. You think the same rules apply to them? Absolutely not, Shug. They can circumvent the rules. We Fat Shug's putting in great comments tonight. Thank you, Shug. Corruption reached saturation point years ago. Don't even try to hear it. And that's the truth. They don't even try to hide their corruption. Sorry to bring it back up, Niall. Could you share a link to the crack cleanup charities and show in the comments? So I put it in the comments there. The first one is Blameless Children's Charity. Blameless Children's Charity, I've done a lot of work with them when I was over in Hamilton. And they concern themselves with the children that are in the shadow of addiction. And this is what sort of opens your eyes to the whole addiction thing in the first place, is that addicts a lot of the time have children too. Whether it's an alcoholic or injecting drug user, crack cocaine, whatever it is. a lot of the time they've got children, and they're affected by this person's addiction. They are. I just realised I didn't even have my light on the day. I didn't even have my spotlight on. Didn't even that. But the other one is Go Together, which is based in Wishaw. I think you can find them on Facebook. But thank you very much, Dan. I'm sure they both accept donations. But the people who run them, they've got a heart of gold. Gary King at Go Together, absolute gem of a guy. And Colin McGowan. Colin McGowan's been sober for almost 40 years solid, almost 4 decades teetotal, because he realised he had a problem. He used to tell me he was famous in the Glasgow's East End for breaking the mirrors behind bars. You know, sometimes you sit at the pub at the bar and there'll be a mirror in front of you. He used to break them all. And it's this sort of thing, like, you know, it's the psychology of it. You know, this Thistle consumption room, they've got this it's like a Hollywood makeup set. They've got these 6-7 booths or whatever it is, and they're all lit up like it's a Hollywood makeup set, and all these mirrors, so you can see yourself injecting from every single angle. And we just know that the addicts wouldn't have mirrors there at all. They'd rather go into the bushes. What's Thomas? What is Tam saying? Police investigating O'Donnell and her pals for awarding themselves hundreds of thousands of pounds of public money. Is everyone aware O'Donnell was a returning officer for all elections in Glasgow for a decade? Now we're talking, Thomas. Because I suspect there is some electioneering going on, some election cheating. I suspect it. I think probably election cheating here in Scotland has been done for a long time. I really do. And I think that's happening with Labour too. The election that I ran in Rutherglen, the by-election Rutherglen in Hamilton West, I thought, see, after the SNP and Labour, I thought then it was actually a clean election after that. I think the Tories come third. But it didn't feel right to me. Didn't feel right. 100 million in clad money just vanished. I heard about that one as well. This ring fence, this is the thing with ring fence money in Scotland. It's no ring fence for very long before these guys get their creepy big fat fingers in there. Start taking away. But I'll tell you the story. Let's bring up some of the images again. What did I do with all these needles? Before we go on our segment, before we get off the inbred Yousafs. What did I do with all these needles? Well, actually, I walked right into the Thistle Centre. So I walked into the Thistle Centre and I didn't even think I was going to get in at first. You know, it's an automatic door. There's 2 automatic doors to get in. I get to the first automatic door. It doesn't open for me. Doesn't open for Niall. And I see the people behind. It's like 2 glass automatic doors. And I see the woman behind the desk can see me. And yet the door's not opening. So I press the buzzer. And then all of a sudden the door opens. The door opens, I go in. I go through the other automatic door that's working, and I go to the reception and I say, I've just been collecting needles in the local area. And I was wondering if you could dispose of them for me. And she says, who are you? I shit you not, ladies and gentlemen. Who are you? And again, I walk into the Thistle Centre. They've not got 1 receptionist. They've not got 2 receptionists. They've got 3 receptionists. Who are you? I know. It's a total disgrace. So I walk in, I say, well, I'm Niall Fraser. And she says, well, I'll get the manager. So the manager comes out. Takes him a while to come out. And I can see that this entire time, these three receptionists that are all in the reception at the same time, they're all manning the same reception. The phone's no rung once. Nobody's come in the door once. Nothing's happened here. You know, this was probably the busiest they've been, is me coming in and inquiring about getting rid of needles. So I'm waiting there in the seat. Out comes the manager. And I say, look, I've picked up these needles in the local area. And this is a conversation between me and the manager. And while I'm having this conversation, the woman behind the reception says, "Oh, their needles have been there for ages." And I say, "Well, it doesn't matter how long they've been there." Oh, yeah, blah blah blah. But it's funny, I'm having this sort of separate conversation with the manager, and way over it behind the reception desk, the needles have been there for ages, according to the receptionist. You know what I mean? It's there's an element of weirdness about this Thistle Centre. I think they know that they're under the microscope. I think they know they knew exactly who I was, I think, because it's me that's sort of been exposing them. But to their credit, the manager took the needles off me. He brought out one of these tubs that you actually, once it's sealed, you can't unseal it. So to the Thistle's credit, the manager took all the needles off me to get incinerated or disposed of. It was just such a weird reaction in there. It wasn't it? More comments flooding in. Are they cracked glass doors? In the spider experiment, the fourth spider was given optimum conditions and ample food. It chose to ignore the drugs. This is why you keep the oppressed. Crime is profitable business as well. Fat Shug's bringing us the information tonight. Same people that invented gangster music also invested heavily in new build jails. They knew their music would fill. I've had this problem with... I had this epiphany a while back, but sound and vibration and music is the most powerful thing in humanity. And the music that we are being fed now, the music or culture that's foisted upon our culture, it doesn't seem like it's it doesn't gel with us, if you know what I mean. It feels like it's manufactured against us, actually. Alice Aitken looks like the double of Les and Benidorm. Wee shuck. The bleeding receptionist defending needles being there in the first place. Exactly, Dan. Exactly. That's what happened. You know, I'm in there having just spent an hour and a bit cleaning up needles. And she's like, "Oh, they've been there ages." Well, if they've been there ages, then why has nothing been done about it? So I says, well, it doesn't matter how long they've been there. Anyway, everyone's enjoying the community tonight. Everyone's enjoying it. An hour behind wee Shug. And wee Fat Shug is absolutely correct. He must have had the same epiphany as I. Everything is frequency now. They want our frequency to be low. Absolutely. Everything they do is to make you ill and feel small and helpless. Absolutely. Well, that was the story of inbred USAFs. I've sort of merged these two things because I didn't tell you the story what happened when I actually went into the Thistle to take the needles in. But here's me telling Hamza Yousaf to fuck off and that he's a pestilence on the land.
I I usually, please don't take offence here, but usually by middle-aged, conservative white men.
Excuse me, Hamza. A few days ago, you said we have to call out bigots and say F you. Didn't you not? Your white speech was the most bigoted thing Scotland has ever heard. So, on behalf of Scotland, fuck you. You're a pestilence on the land. You've thrown women and children under the bus. You're despicable. You should be behind bars.
There's good people here who paid money to listen to the show.
So did we.
Oh no, we're at the devil's number 666 viewers. Somebody's just jumped in there to take it, 667, but thank God. And how right was I? He's a pestilence on the land. Lots of frequency ads on Rumble. Rumble, I would like to actually try and stream to Rumble. Evening all. Welcome to the gallery, Scorpion. Thanks for joining us. On a plane, I use Brave browser. Brave browser, that's quite good actually. I must say, I'm using Opera. Check that one out. Cheers, wee shuck. A round of applause for Niall. Thank you very much. It couldn't have happened at a better time, you know. He's talking about middle-aged white, but you know, he can't help himself. And you hear this weird. I'll play the video just a second, but pay attention.
By usually, please don't take offence here, but usually by middle-aged, conservative white men.
Excuse me.
They're all laughing away at his joke. It wasn't even a good joke. Anyway, we're moving on. And honestly, the comments have been absolutely fantastic tonight. Couldn't watch YouTube if I had to suffer ads. I must say, YouTube Premium, it's life-changing. The amount of time that you save, it's life-changing. But let me bring up some of the more the bookmarks. And we'll finish on our story for this evening. And I had to shout out to the Scottish Family Party for this one. Because although I used to be heavily involved with the Scottish Family Party, right? But went their separate ways. But I still support their work, right? And everyone that I met during my time in the Scottish Family Party was A1. I had no complaints about anything. Everyone I met had a heart of gold, and they were all in it for the right reasons, right? Never a bad experience in the Scottish Family Party, and I'll say that to their credit. And Richard Lucas is a very kind, very considerate guy. And even I was in the Scottish Family Party when I'd done that thing with Hamza Youssef. And, you know, Richard's main concern was that I swore. That's how considerate he is. Fell out with Richard 4 years ago. I mean, people have disagreements, Shug, but I think his heart's in the right place. I think you'll probably agree with that. Everyone has disagreements. But let's change this banner now, because it's the SFP are attacked. So I'll give you the sort of preface to this, right? So we've got this new buffer zone law. This buffer zone around the abortion clinic, right? And the law states that if someone is using the centre for the purpose of having an abortion, then you can't be within 100 metres of the facility protesting against it, right? But that doesn't mean you can't be there on a Sunday or a Saturday because the place isn't open. So therefore, ipso facto, nobody could be using the place. Nobody can be using the place for the purpose of abortion because it's not open. Right? You see what I'm saying? A wee loophole. And whether you agree with the Scottish Family Party or not, you have to agree and you have to support their right to stand silently with a sign and no be harassed and no be attacked and no be heckled and no have their equipment and that stolen for them. Because this is what's happened. So we'll play the video and we'll actually see what's going on here. And we'll listen to Richard for a few minutes. Apologies, I think that's muted. I'll get myself back up. Apologies, guys. This happens time to time. What I'll do is I'll stop sharing the screen and then I'll start sharing the screen again. And then you tell me if it's working.
Well, this is some story. It involves some far-left folks. It involves Police Scotland, Gillian Mackay, MSP, the national newspaper.
Is it working?
And, of course, the Scottish Family Party.
Is it working?
So on Saturday night, we went and had a little pro-life silent demonstration outside the Chalmers Clinic in Edinburgh. Why did we do that? Well, we did a pro-life event, which was within the buffer zone of an abortion clinic in Aberdeen a few weeks ago. But it was a Saturday night, so the abortion clinic was closed. You can't break the law while it's closed. But lots of people thought you could. So it generated some controversy and attention. And we like attention for the pro-life message. So we thought, right, if we do this again, then the pro-life message will be seen and heard by even more people. So let's do it. So Gillian Mackay, MSP, architect of the buffer zone legislation, got wind of our plans. And so she basically criticized the police for not arresting us in Aberdeen and basically was saying publicly the police ought to arrest us this time. That's totally out of order, and that's the abuse of an MSP's position to be encouraging the police to arrest us for something that's not illegal. But anyway, I'd informed the police of what we were going to do. I wasn't asking for permission. We don't need to ask for permission. But I did email them, their appropriate departments, saying, this is something we're going to do just to let you know for policing purposes. And I had a call with their liaison officer, and it went like this.
So this is pretty funny, this. He's recorded the call with the police, right? This is really quite funny, this.
Whether the clinic itself is open or not is irrelevant to the legislation. So anybody being within the buffer zone and taking part in any vigil, protest, demonstration, anything that can be construed as an attempt to influence people is committing an offence.
Right. That policeman sounded very resolute on the phone there, didn't he? And thank you for joining us. Over 700 viewers, guys. Wednesday night. Thank you ever so much. Love you. But listen to this. We'll take it back. We'll listen to this. This police officer seems very resolute on the phone that anything in the buffer zone is illegal, regardless if the thing's open or not, right? He seems resolute.
Like this.
So whether the clinic itself is open or not is irrelevant to the legislation. So anybody being within the buffer zone and taking part in any vigil, protest, demonstration, anything that can be construed as an attempt to influence people is committing an offence.
I think that's just wrong. That's not true. That's not what the law says.
In terms of reading the legislation, there's nothing within the legislation that provides any kind of exemption around whether something's opened or not.
But there is.
Yes, in terms of conversation, that the only way that would be tested would be in a court of law.
Right, because the law says the person being influenced or must be within the buffer zone for the purpose of basically accessing the clinic. How can someone be in the buffer zone for the purpose of accessing the clinic when it's closed?
I'm just writing that down because I don't have it.
Police Scotland rumbled again. Like, listen to this. This is what stood out to me. The police don't know the law. The police don't know the law, and Richard knows the law better than them. Can you believe this? This stuck out to me as hilarious.
If it's open or not is irrelevant to the legislation. So anybody being within the buffer zone and taking part in any vigil, protest, demonstration, anything that can be construed as an attempt to influence people is committing an offence.
I'll pause this and this question come up. How did you not get arrested? Are you talking about, if you're talking about the Humza thing, the Humza thing was a private event and it was a fringe event, a comedy thing. And I can't get arrested for a private event like that, ticketed event. That's, if it was in the street, I think we would have had a different story, Jay. But because it's a private ticketed event in a private venue, I can't be arrested for that. Anyway, listen, this is just hilarious, this conversation with the police.
To the legislation. So anybody being within the buffer zone and taking part in any vigil, protest, demonstration, anything that can be construed as an attempt to influence people is committing an offence.
I think that's just wrong. That's not true. That's not what the law says.
In terms of reading the legislation, there's nothing within the legislation that provides any kind of exemption around whether something's opened or not.
But there is.
In terms of conversation, that the only way that would be tested would be in a court of law.
Right, because the law says the person being influenced must be within the buffer zone for the purpose of basically accessing the clinic. How can someone be in the buffer zone for the purpose of accessing the clinic when it's closed?
I'm just writing that down next to
Just write it down.
For purpose of access and services. Yeah, I couldn't answer that. I'm through in Glasgow, but I presume
I'm through in Glasgow. I can't answer that.
Yeah, Monday to Friday, 9 till 5. I believe what's happening here, to be honest, is that the police, not you, higher up the chain, they're thinking, right, we'd rather this didn't happen, and so we'll sort of try and suggest that it's illegal and hopefully scare them off, whereas actually quite clearly isn't illegal. Now, I'm not happy about that.
No,
the police
you would
have got their lawyers. The police can read the law. So the police know full well that you can't break the buffer zone law when a clinic is closed. They know that as well as I do. But they're basically trying to scare us off. And then the police were thinking, we'd rather this didn't happen. This puts us in a tricky situation if it does happen, because MSPs are wanting us to arrest people, but we know it's not actually illegal. So what would be better if we could scare them off, tell them it's illegal, then maybe they won't do it, and that's our problem solved. But it's not the job of the police to misrepresent the law to people in order to stop them doing things that are perfectly legal. I mean, saying, it'll be settled in court. In other words, scary, we'll arrest you, and you'll go through however many months of legal process, then it'll go to court, who knows which way it will go. Okay, all just bluffing, pure bluff. So Police Scotland, not happy. Anyway, we turned up on the night, and we gathered together. I think there were 11 of us there. And on the other side of the road, actually in the entrance to the abortion clinic, was a counter-protest. There's about a dozen of them.
Just look at this rabble. And the thing is, see the abortion question. I don't think you should really have a say on the abortion question unless you've had a child. It seemed, these people are clearly all childless. All of them. I say that with 100% certainty. They're all childless. And I just don't see, I don't think they understand the majesty of a pregnancy, the miracle that is pregnancy, that bringing life into the world. I just don't think they understand it. And I think it's just a clumpy cells. It's whether you agree with the abortion question or not, right? you have to support the Scottish Family Party's right to stand there within their legal right with a sign, silently. They're not causing anybody any bother, especially when the clinic's not open. Anyway, we go on. But you can just see what's going to happen here. They're going to get heckled, they're going to get attacked. And that's exactly what happens. And these people think, this is the thing, right? These attackers, these people think they are in the right. And that is, I mean, how is that possible that they think they're in the right? Harassing. And generally the Scottish Family Party is like, they've got, I'd say the demographics 50 plus, mostly old Christian people who don't believe in abortion, who believe that people who have an abortion might end up in hell for eternity. And they're trying to prevent that. Whether rightly or wrong, it doesn't really matter. But they've got the right to stand there silently with a sign, for crying out loud.
I mean, to be honest, how would you describe them? They look quite a rum crew. They're sort of drinking beer and smoking. Some of them were a bit too old to be students. They didn't look your average pro-abortion group. That's probably sort of angry women you find in those groups. I thought, are they like a secularist or a humanist group of some sort? But then I realized who they were. It was basically Antifa communist types unmasked. Like the pro-life chain, which is in Edinburgh on the 26th of April, by the way. When we have the pro-life chain in Edinburgh, communists often come and protest on the other side of the road. So I think it was those sort of types. So far left activists, quite aggressive activists. They didn't have any placards. And so we worked out what they were doing. Basically, they thought the buffer zone applied. So they thought it would be illegal if they had placards. And so they didn't have them. But their plan was just to report us to the police. So when we got there, I saw them there. I thought, I'll just phone the police. Because in my communications with the police, I said, I don't really think there'll be a counter-protest. But I phoned them up quickly on 101 and said, just to let you know, there's a group here on the other side of the road. They're not being particularly threatening, but, you might want someone to wander past or just be aware. But I don't know how this is going to go when we start. And then we did start. We've got our placards out. So I think there's 11 of us. And then you see the people on the other side of the road, just one after another, getting their phones out, obviously phoning the police. We could hear some of them talking, reporting us to the police, saying these people are having a pro-life event within the buffer zone. So what did the police do? The police did nothing. They didn't show up. They didn't appear at all. Why didn't they appear? Well, because they want to avoid criticism. The police know, I believe, that if they had come along and not arrested us, then you'd have Gillian Mackay saying, what are the police playing at? Why didn't they arrest these people? This is terrible. So the police were feeling under pressure, and they knew if they turned up, as I say, they would be criticized. If they don't turn up, well, maybe the heat's off a little bit. Their other option, of course, would be to turn up and arrest us, but they knew that would be wrongful arrest, or it would get thrown out. It would never get to court or whatever. So they opted for not turning up at all. So we stood there for an hour. The people on the other side of the road stood there in the rain and cold, keeping phoning the police, which must have been quite frustrating for them. But anyway, when it finished, we wandered down the road. The people on the other side of the road wandered off as well. But we waited for a little while, and we thought it'd be quite good to get a photograph of us with our placards right at the abortion clinic sign. We thought that would be a particularly powerful image, particularly as one of our placards was about the number of abortions facilitated by the Chalmers Clinic itself. So we waited till it all gone. We went and set up by the sign. But then we realized it hadn't actually completely gone. A couple of them saw what we were doing. So a couple of men came back, ran across, stole our placards, a couple of placards, which cost about £30 each, by the way.
What a bunch of wee ingrate losers. Can you see this? They're all chuckling away as they steal their signs. And the thing is, the Scottish Family Party, right? They're not going to get involved in anything like that. They're not going to try to obstruct the people, I don't think. They're not going to stop them. Because they're peace fairing people. And here we go. Generally neutral on topic of abortion, but pro-abortion types, tribalists seem to be ignorant activists try to fill their time. And again, I sort of want I wanted to sort of couch this opinion irrespective of your opinion on abortion, positive or negative. I wanted to sort of to say, look, this is a political party in Scotland who are standing with signs, doesn't matter what it says on the signs, within their legal right to protest, and they're being attacked and their signs are being stolen. And this is a political party in Scotland in 2025. That's the point I wanted to make. Usually paid activists. You tell these wee Antifa types, they're just wee dweebs that don't know any better. And I think they're getting a wee laugh. They need to read the plaques. Exactly.
Men came back, ran across, stole our placards, a couple of placards, which cost about £30 each, by the way. And then they disappeared, but then the same two men came back. They were standing on the other side of the road. And but we weren't going to go and like try and wrestle placards off them or whatever. But I thought, I'll go and take a photograph of them. You know, we're not going to report this to the police, I don't think, but I hadn't decided that at the time. I thought, no harm in just going over, get a photograph of these people, and then that would be useful. So I went over with my phone to photograph them. And as you can see, one of the men went for me. As far as I'm aware, he didn't make contact with me, but he was obviously physically aggressive. I think when I didn't back off, he didn't quite know what to do. And that they sort of calmed down pretty quickly and then shuffled off. So then we left. But then we realized that they hadn't disappeared and they were following us.
This is just intimidation straight up.
Which again, you could say, you know, we weren't particularly bothered. There was quite a lot of us and whatever. But it is a bit intimidating when you know people are following you. You know, maybe if one of the ladies in our group had been heading off on her own in a different direction at that point, that could have been quite intimidating. Anyway, so we headed into a bar for a drink and we didn't see them again. So what have we got to say about the different actors in this story? Gillian Mackay, it is an abuse of your position as a member of the Scottish Parliament to put pressure on the police to arrest people who are not doing anything illegal. And it also re-emphasizes that, unfortunately, Gillian Mackay is not competent to understand her own law and to realize that what we're doing isn't illegal. I mean, she described what we did as a stunt. I mean, a stunt, standing in the street for an hour with placards, is that a stunt? I'm not sure. I mean, she says we're people who refuse to respect reproductive rights, euphemisms all the way. Now, in terms of the buffer zone applying 24 hours, she said this was made clear throughout the scrutiny and passing of she always says it's my act. I mean, the only thing that was made clear during the scrutiny of this act was the fact that most of the MSPs are not competent to conduct intelligent discussion on the key areas and produce clear legislation. Now, what else did Gillian Mackay said? She said there should always be consequences for people who set out to harass patients and staff. Everyone has the right to access healthcare without harassment. I mean, she's just got no idea. She's just on autopilot, trotting out the standard lines. There should always be consequences. In other words, the police should have come and arrested us for people who set out to harass patients and staff accessing healthcare. The clinic was closed. She also said we were extremists because we want to protect the unborn and we're standing with placards. We think of Gillian Mackay as people that she might be entirely on side with, like environmentalists, pro-Palestine people, protesters who disrupt things left, right, and centre, vandalise things. But, oh no, it's not those that are the extremists. It's the Scottish Family Party standing there with their placards. Right, the media. The national newspaper has been covering this quite closely, giving Gillian Mackay quite a significant platform to air her opinions on the matter. And so the National have asked me for feedback, so I've given them some of the arguments.
Just look at the headline here. So what they've done is they've lit candles. They've lit candles for the amount of abortions. Lives lost. 18,207 candles. And what does the National say about it? Childish anti-abortion protesters. No, I think it's the journalist here that's being childish.
And again, they take my arguments and then they jumble them into an incoherent muddle and publish them in the newspaper. So it's the same as with Gillian Mackay. The journalists, and not just one, it's two of them, the journalists at the National do not understand the point. They haven't read the law. They don't understand my explanation. It's not that they reject it or argue against it. It's obvious that they just don't understand. So if ever Gillian Mackay leaves politics, I mean, there's a job as a journalist at the National waiting for her, I'm sure. This latest one's been reported in the Scotsman as well. Quite a hostile article. They'll put the criticisms are front and center. Then eventually it gets around to the other side of the story. And then looking at the comments threads full of hatred, people who believe things that are just absolute pure fiction. But people believe them quite passionately about the pro-life movement. And again, pressure on the police. Why is the police not arresting these people? Right, how have the police done here? Well, number one, as I said, I'm not happy with them trying to scare us off doing something completely legal by telling us that it's illegal when it isn't. And also, I believe it's quite likely that the police didn't turn up because it would have put them in a tricky situation and they'd have been criticized by the likes of Gillian Mackay for not arresting us. Now, okay, this is not a huge deal. I mean, it wasn't vital. I mean, I wasn't phoning them saying there's an emergency, come along. But on the other hand, it did turn a bit ugly. And the counter-protesters were not the nicest people. And we were a little bit vulnerable. You know, they were following us afterwards. It's not impossible someone might have been hurt in the course of that. So, and it is also distinctly possible the reason the police were not there is because of the actions of Gillian Mackay. Right, the far left. The far left in Scotland is real. We hear a lot about the far right, but the far left is real as well, and they are aggressive and lawless. And having said that, they're probably professors at Edinburgh University or something. I don't know. And then there's the Scottish Family Party with our clear mission to present the pro-life message to as wide an audience as we can. And we're taking this controversy as an opportunity to reach a wider audience. So our placards have been reproduced in newspapers and on social media quite widely, and it's made quite an impact. We've gained some new members, some new supporters through it, and we're now thinking about doing it again. Nothing planned yet. Maybe the Sandyford Clinic in Glasgow would be a good place to go to next. Watch this space. So the buffer zone law, it's doing a favour to the pro-life cause. For the pro-life cause, the worst case scenario is settled, quiet, routine evil. Abortion just continuing unopposed, doesn't get talked about, not in the news, just going along nicely in the background. But that is not the case at all, because the buffer zone law is drawing attention to it, it's opening up the debate, and it's making it a live issue, and we want to exploit that to the maximum in order to protect the most vulnerable. So do join the Scottish Family Party via the link below. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.
So, once again, I thought that was a really good video by Richard there. We'll kill this off. But again, you don't need to support necessarily the Scottish Family Party or even their message on abortion at all. But surely you need to support their right to stand there silently with a sign within their rights, within their legal right to stand there with a sign and not be attacked and not have their equipment stolen. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's been the Niall Fraser Show for this Wednesday evening, 26th of March. We've covered quite a lot. We've had the Glasgow City Council corruption, which is just endless. We've had the Inbreds strike again, and we've had the SFP attacked. And I've showed you all the gruesome images that I took at the weekend of the amount of needles that we picked up. And if you want to support me in my mission I think it's just becoming a mission of mine now to go around these deprived areas of Glasgow and to clean them of these needles. If you want to support me in that, first of all, give me a follow on X. Jump over to YouTube. I'll bring the banner up. At the Niall Fraser Show on YouTube. Tell me, by subscribing, you're telling me you want to support me in my endeavours here. Yeah, I'm not looking for any monetary donations, although they would be helpful. But I think at this stage, before we set up a national campaign to sort of clean Scotland of these needles, I wouldn't go donating any money anytime soon until I've sort of worked out the logistics of it all. Because there's a lot of areas in Glasgow that need cleaned. And it's not just Glasgow, we're talking Edinburgh, Dundee. And I'm sure many people in the comments will be saying, you know, where they stay, that there's problems there as well. But yeah, thanks very much, Glenn. Thanks, Shug. You've been fantastic tonight, Shug. Please come back again. It is horrific. And it's all caused by a struggle for sanity in an insane world. What a great comment to end on, Shug. Fife as well. You're a Fifer, my friend. I hail from Cowdenbeath. Whoa, yes. I bet there's areas in Cowdenbeath, Kelty, High Valleyfield. I bet there's lots of Kirkcaldy. I bet there's lots of places that are absolutely plagued by needles. Mon Fife. Isn't that true? Mon Fife. Cowdenbeath nil. Cardenden. Oh, Jesus, Shug. Oh, no. The Lumferins, massive. The Wylam. Bring the Noise is here as well. Thanks for joining us, John. John, you might be interested in this as well. We're going to do a national campaign to clean the streets of these needles you're seeing on the screen. And I know you're into helping clean your communities up. So you should maybe get in touch and see what we can do about this. Right, well, it's been a great show. Once again, I don't really know what I'm going to do in terms of this national campaign to clean the needles up, but we're looking for volunteers. If you want to get on the short list, give me a follow on X, comment on my stuff, tell me to get in contact with you. I'll get a list sorted out. I'll get all your numbers, and I'll let you know exactly when the next cleanup's going to be, where it's going to be. If you want to be there, that's fantastic. If you want to help, even the better. Just don't come dressed in your Sunday best, because you will be getting down and dirty. Always interested me any to make a change. I knew you'd say that, John. I can always rely on you. Let me know. Thanks, Niall. Great show. Appreciate it, Shug. Right, so for the best part of the show, it's generally the intro and outro music. So please stay for the outro music. Again, if you want to support me in what I'm doing, jump onto the YouTube. There's 800 people live on X right now. If they were to migrate over to YouTube and give me a subscription, that would tell me that you are right behind me in my cause. But there's nothing else for me to say for tonight. Just enjoy the rest of your week. I don't think I'll be here on Friday. I've got a wee engagement. And then Saturday, I'm at a stag do. So I don't think I'll be in any fit state to do a show the next week either. Probably Monday or Wednesday for the next show. But thank you ever so much for watching. Again, almost 1,000 viewers. I really do appreciate you staying here for the show. I just appreciate all the support, and and it's just it gets a bit heavy when you're going about Glasgow and you're picking up all the need. It really does, because it's just like Francis said in the video, each one of these needles you're looking at on the screen now has been used by someone. Just let that sink in. Each one of these needles on the screen right now has been used. There's a lot of human suffering on the screen. It's hard to even extrapolate how much suffering that is to look at. But it does get a bit heavy. It does get a bit emotional because it's just, you know, I think people just need to understand the scale of the situation we've got here in Scotland when it comes to injecting drug use. But anyway, guys, it's been a spirited show. Thanks again for joining us. I'll see you again. Wish me luck on the stag do. And aye, have yourself a great week, ladies and gentlemen.